The most dangerous word you can ever say is not "I refuse." It is taking things for granted and saying nothing will happen. Hi everyone, my name is Remilekun and welcome back to my channel. A space where we share real life stories with deep lessons about life, wisdom, faith, and consequences of the choices we make. If you're returning, thank you for always coming back. You are the reason this community is growing. And if this is your first time here, you're very welcome. You're not here by accident. Before we go any further, please like this video, subscribe, share it, and drop a comment. It really helps this message to reach someone who may need it this week. And if you enjoy reflective, thought-provoking stories like this one, you'll find a playlist of my previous stories at the top of your screen. Make sure you check them out after watching this. Now let's get into today's story. A story about warnings, disobedience, and what happens when people believe nothing will happen. Let's go. Have you ever heard the saying that obedience is better than sacrifice, and that before judgment comes a warning? But warnings are only useful to those who listen. This is a story of a town that heard the warning and chose to disobey. At exactly 6 a.m., the siren wailed across Okiodo. This was long, steady, and unusual. And just like every other time, most people in the town ignored it. In Okiodo, the siren had become background noise, like the church bell on Sundays, or like the call to prayer at dawn. The siren was tested every first Monday of the month, and over time, people learned to tune it out. Warnings that repeated too often lose their power. But what the town people did not realize is that this time, it wasn't a test. 17-year-old Tunde lay in bed, scrolling endlessly on his phone, earbuds in his ear, lost in music and messages. The world outside could have ended and he wouldn't have noticed. His mother knocked sharply on the door. Tunde, didn't you hear the siren? He pulled one earbud out and smiled. It's Monday, Mama. Test day. She hesitated. Something about the sound bothered her. It felt long, heavier, but she swallowed the feeling. Just don't be late for school, she said and walked away. Across town, Mr. Adeyemi, a retired civil servant in his late 60s, sat upright in his armchair. The newspaper lay forgotten on his lap. That siren didn't sound right, he muttered. His wife looked up from her tea. You worry too much. Everything worries you these days. But Mr. Adeyemi remembered a time when warnings were not suggestions. When ignoring instructions left scars people still talked about in whispers. At 7:15 a.m., phones across Okiodo buzzed at the same time. Emergency notice. All residents are advised to remain indoors. Schools and offices are closed until further notice. Tunde laughed as he read it. See, he said, grabbing his backpack. Fake panic. This is not the first time. They always exaggerate everything. A message popped up from his friend, Kunle. Bro, are you coming? If we miss the math test, they will not reschedule. Tunde grinned. Disobedience didn't feel dangerous. It felt smart, convenient, normal. As he stepped outside, his mother called after him, her voice tight. They said, "Stay indoors." "I'll be fine," he replied, already walking away. Across town, Mr. Adeyemi read the same message twice. "This is serious," he said, standing up. "I'll check on the neighbors." His wife stopped him, but he said, "Stay indoors." He paused. For the first time in years, he listened to his wife and sat back down. Disobedience rarely begins with rebellion. It begins with familiarity. People in Okyodo had heard warnings before. Flawed alerts that led to nothing, curfews that changed nothing, rules that felt disconnected from real life. So by 9 a.m., life continued. Shop owners opened, just for a few hours. Office workers drove in, shaking their heads at overcaution authorities. Students gathered outside school, laughing, recording videos, joking about the siren. Only a few stayed indoors, and those were the elderly and those who had learned that some rules were written in pain. At 10:42 a.m., the siren sounded again. This time, it didn't stop. Tunde and his friends were in the school courtyard when the ground vibrated beneath their feet. Not an earthquake, something deeper, like pressure building. "What's that?" someone asked. Then the wind came, not strong, but wrong. It moved in an uneven burst, carrying sharp metallic smell that burnt the nose and throat. Teachers screamed, gates slammed shut, laughter vanished, replaced by panic. Across town, Mr. Adeyemi's windows rattled. He froze. "I know that smell," he whispered. 35 years earlier, he had reviewed safety reports for an industrial plant outside town. He had recommended upgrades, emergency drills, and maintenance to them. But the report was shelved. "This is too expensive," the management declared. And now, Mr. Adeyemi knew instantly that was from the same plant. By noon, Okyodo was in chaos. A containment failure had released toxic gas, slow, invincible, deadly, drifting through the lower parts of town. Hospitals overflowed. Those who stayed indoors, sealed their windows, and followed instructions fared better. Those who didn't, Tunde collapsed on the school step, chest burning, vision fading. His phone buzzed with missed calls from his mother. Across town, Mr. Adeyemi guided his wife into the bathroom, sealed the doors with towels, relying on instructions memorized decades earlier. "You were right," she whispered weakly. "No," he replied softly. "I just listened." The siren stopped at 6 p.m. The town had never been so quiet. Unfortunately, 3 people were unalive that day. Dozens were hospitalized. Hundreds were affected. Not because there was no warning, but because too many people believed nothing would happen. Okyodo changed. Emergency drills were taken seriously. Parents listened more. Teenagers asked questions instead of assuming they knew better. Tunde survived, but with lungs too damaged to chase his dream of professional football. One evening, he sat beside Mr. Adeyemi at a community gathering. "I thought disobedience was freedom," Tunde quietly said. "Now I know it's just delayed consequences." Mr. Adeyemi nodded. "Rules aren't chain," he said. "They are lessons written by people who already paid the price. So, the lessons we ignore every day may not always be dramatic. Sometimes it could be as simple as ignoring an older person's advice because it feels outdated. Students intentionally ignoring school rules they consider unnecessary. Ignoring speed limits when roads look empty. Disobeying safety rules to save time or using your phone while driving. Ignoring early symptoms or skipping prescribed medications once you feel better. Selective obedience. Obeying only what suits us. Both the young and the old disobey. The young because they think they are very smart and invincible. The old because they think they have seen it all and they know better. And both are wrong. If the story stirs something in you, don't ignore it. Sometimes discomfort is wisdom knocking. As you step into this weekend, I want to encourage you with this. Listen more. If the story spoke to you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and drop a comment below. I am Remilekun Idowu, and I'll see you next time with another powerful story. Stay wise and have a meaningful weekend.